Ozicar Formula Ford season rolls on to Circuit de Jerez in Spain. We have two races ahead of us here on Simspeed TV tonight. We're very, very glad to have your company. David Haynes here with Jason Fewens and Jay Kennedy as the production. It's been such an exciting car, a real driver's car, a real just test of the talent of our competitors in equal machinery. We've been loving it so far, and we're looking forward to what's coming up here, Jason.
Yeah, good evening, race fans. Welcome. It only seemed like a couple of days ago we were at round number 4, but we're already back to experience what Jerez has to offer here in Spain as we zoom in on the map and we can see exactly where it is located geographically. It's a circuit that's seen plenty of racing with different formats over the years. It's got a couple of different layouts, and tonight we are using the moto layout. So we're missing the little chicane in the last sector of the circuit, which allows for a very flowing and uninterrupted run for the run home with the checkered flag, which will be very interesting and create some unprecedented passing opportunities into turn 13.
Yep, it'll be exciting. We've got some tight corners, you've got a lot of flowing corners. As is typical of tracks designed for motorcycle racing, a lot of sort of fluidity, transfer, weight transfer, one corner into the next. Will be very, very interesting. There is no Jerez for the wicked, and money don't grow on trees. Pit lane is an interesting one here as well, because we're going to need to use that across both races in this format. This is the points as we head into this round. Jamie Stovall ahead of James Chastanoff, Ewan Baker, Brodie Shepherd, Tom Freer as our top 5. And it remains very close to the rest of the top 10 in the championship. Jacob Wallmeyer, Nathan Norman, Ben Miles, Sean Doyle, and Warren Henry.
Yeah, this championship's still open for a number of these drivers, but it has been close throughout the majority of the season as well. So we've had a couple of upsets over the last couple of rounds, and that's really kind of mixed things up a little bit. So the run home for the last couple of rounds should be as entertaining as the Ozicar Series tends to produce season after season. So I can't see things being any different for the next couple of rounds.
Yep, our last look there at the format. 2 11-lap races. All drivers must drive through pit lane. That's sort of a relic of how we used to do things here in Ozicar Formula Ford, where there would be a compulsory pit stop. But the 5-lug wheels on these Formula Fords, there's so much random variation, one pit stop to the other. It really was spoiling the racing, and the winner was just who lucked into the best pit stop. It's meant to be about the drivers, because it can be so close, like this starting grid for race number 1 with Ewan Baker fractionally ahead of championship leader Jamie Stovall, then James Chastanoff, Adrian Duke, Adam Briggs, Brodie Shepherd. Some really strong drivers at the front of the field here. Jacob Wallmeyer, Tom Freer, Brady Baldwin, Sean Doyle, Ben Miles, and Warren Henry to 12th place, and then Dyson Freeman, John Snell, Ira Felberg are completing the qualifying drivers. We're ready to go racing for race 1 of 2 from Jerez. There is your pole sitter.
Just a name to keep an eye on who you didn't actually read out, Stuart Vaughan. So one of the quicker guys in the series that's been on the podium throughout the season. So he'll be doing his best to make his way through the field. So keep an eye out for the distinctive livery, because I'm sure we'll see it make its way through the pack sooner rather than later. While that was going on, I was just checking to see if fluidity was an actual word, and you've taught me something tonight, Dave.
Yeah, cool, nice, good. We're all learning, and we're counting down to race number 1. The starting lights are displayed, the drivers are revving. Ewan Baker's on pole position with the inside line for turn number 1. Driver in second gets a much better getaway though, and we will be side by side heading down towards turn number 1 at Jerez underneath the giant spaceship. The drivers all spreading out, trying to get their tyre temperature into these Formula Fords. Very cold from the start here, and not a lot of traction found around the outside there for Jamie Stovall. So Ewan Baker continues to lead us through turn 2. Some optimistic moves happening through the field here, like Jacob Wallmeyer's to the inside of this tight right-hander, but then the track flicks back to the left, and it is more side-by-side racing for Ozicar Formula Ford on this opening of 11 laps. Who's going to want to pit early? Who's going to want to pit late? Track position is a big deal in these cars.
Yeah, the pit sequence of when you dive into the pits is really going to determine, I dare say, on someone you're either working with or if you're getting caught up with by a car in front. But Traditionally, we've seen a lot of cars dive into the pits relatively early prior to this season, but as this season's unfolded, it's actually been the other way. We see a bit of a brake lock-up as we go into, I think it's turn 7, dry sack, the famous corner at the back of the circuit before they start making their way back through the pits through a sequence of long left-hand corners.
I can't count past 4 in Spanish, so I can't tell you what corner that was. On board with Sean Doyle. So yes, look down the inside. We've got Wallmeyer just ahead of us here, really struggling to find anything resembling an apex there. And then Tom Freer, the driver, just ahead of who we're on board with in these positions here. Spanish fans are out in their numbers. There are mucho fans out there right now. Again, avoiding any of the chicanes in this part of the lap, coming towards the end of the first lap. Pit entry to our left, and it will get a taker or two, but it's a massive overshoot. That is not where the pit entry goes for poor Sean Doyle.
That could be a pit lane penalty for an unsafe pit entry by the looks of things. I probably would have tried to continue on, but an Ozicar.net replay will tell us exactly what happened. You and Baker.
It tells how Stovall got to the race lead as Baker went wide and James Chastanoff got alongside him, and that was not long before we saw the pit entry get blown. You're going to share your opinion on this one?
Yeah, it just looks like he caught himself off guard. It is one of the trickier pit entries, and you can find yourself running very wide on the entry there if you're carrying too much speed. So looks exactly how Sean Doyle read that. Bit of a tank slapper coming out of turn 4 there onto the back straight. So losing a heap of momentum there. That might have been one of the Vermilion cars. Car 57, I reckon it might have been.
Oh, and we've got a bit of contact between Adrian Duke and Tom Freer, and those two are stuck together. Is it Kylie Minogue was hung up on you? I can't remember, but certainly that's what we're seeing there. Open wheel cars as they are, they get intermingled. It's a bit of 3 wide, almost a bit of check up, and just tags and sends Adrian Duke around, and then gets a little too intimate with him afterwards.
Yeah, very much reminds me of there's a clip going around of a Porsche ending up on top of another Porsche, and it looks very similar corner and very similar circumstances to how that unfolded.
That was Carrera Cup France. Very, very, very famous. So the wrong type of balance of performance, that one. Got a couple more drivers going for pit entry, a little tidier, and I do suspect Sean Doyle, as you hinted at, did get a penalty for an unsafe pit entry because he then did stop in his box for 16 seconds when it should have been a straight drive through. Warren Henry got it tidily enough that he should just be a straight drive through for a pit lane transit time, therefore, of about 23 seconds. The racing's ferocious out on track, and this is a circuit that I think really, really works for the Formula Ford cars. You've got some sweeping corners. You've got plenty of bits where the track direction changes on itself. So if you can hold position around the outside of someone, you then get the inside to the next corner. You can really race side by side continuously in places. Jamie Stovall has the lead from Ewan Baker, closing him in down this long back straight. There's the Formula Ford slipstream doing its thing, just giving him 1 or 2 extra car lengths.
Yeah, Ewan Baker using every single bit of the track and then some to try and carry him as much momentum through that mid-corner section. But Jamie Stovall doing a pretty good job there of just defending quite cleanly. We'll jump on board quickly, though. This is Adam Briggs looking back at James Chastanoff, who's having a look down the inside, unable to make it stick there, but certainly making his presence felt. So this is the battle for 3rd and 4th, the last step on the podium at the moment, but we are only lap 3 of 11 into race number 1, so plenty more racing to go. And I wouldn't be surprised if Chastanoff just might dive into the pits quite soon just to try and clear and do the undercut on Briggsy.
My sincerest apologies. It was actually Madonna who was hung up. So strive for factual accuracy here on Simspeed TV. Good racing, and another driver who goes, I'm losing maybe a little bit of time battling here. Time for my run through pit lane as Brody Shepherd will go through what are some very good facilities here at Jerez. Very popular with testing motorbikes, testing cars, testing all sorts. And then they have some big race events here as well. Got that spaceship corporate hospitality over the top of the pit straight. Very, very interesting stuff here. It's the paved bits that the race cars are on that's really exciting for us at the moment. Stovall and Ewan Baker still super close, but starting to pull away because we've seen Briggs and Chastity fight each other a little bit back there in third. Jacob Wallmeyer stays with them in fifth, and in fact, they are fighting each other a little bit back there in third because they're absolutely nose-to-nose level, battling for that final podium spot at the moment. While as we rode on board with Ewan Baker earlier, he had a run to make a move a couple of times, didn't do it, whereas these guys, they're taking every opportunity, shooting their shot.
Yeah, with Jacob Woolmore trying to thread the eye of the needle straight down the middle, this could end up in tears. See who's got the bigger kahunas, and it looks like Chasanoff off the inside making it work there, and Woolmire relegates back to his original position. But plenty of action out on track between these three drivers, and plenty of respect being shown as well.
Brody Shepherd, 21-second pit lane transit time, is only 18 seconds behind the race leader. You do seem to save quite a bit of time with where the position of the pit entry is cutting a little bit of the final corner. And then also the pit lane speed limit here today is 60 kilometers an hour. So yeah, just a little slower than some of the 80 kilometer an hour pit lane speed limits. Oh, that's gravel. That's gravel for both of those fellas. Horton and Freeman, I think. Yes, indeed it was. Oh, no. That's an absolute dog's breakfast to the pit entry. But you know what? He keeps it on the pavement. Joshua Horton. I think that will be a legal pit entry. No black flag that I can see. Keep an eye on him. Is this a straight drive-through or is it an unsafe pit entry? Because it is a stunning pit entry.
The human highlight reel. Any 360 into the pit entry, loses maybe 3 seconds on the car in front, but gets a heap of style points for his efforts nonetheless.
iRacing top 10 for March. How you doing? Similar to the World Star Hip Hop call out, maybe. Perhaps preemptive there on my behalf. But overall, it was more dramatic, but also more profitable of a pit entry than Sean Doyle managed. Got a couple other pit lane callers here as well. Benjamin Wheeler. Tom Freer's on the pit lane after having some damage, but stuck out in the gravel is John Snell. We've seen a few drivers get through the gravel around here at Jerez, and I think he has no fork and chance of getting out of there.
Yeah, a bit of a weird place to end up. I'm wondering whether there was actually a technical failure of some kind, because it's just...
yeah, he's just driven straight on and parked it, hasn't he? But then he turns the wheel when he's in the gravel. It is a little confusing. James Chastanoff has managed to break clear in third place here. So Adam Briggs and Jacob Wallmeyer are now fighting each other. And we're seeing that you can cost yourself a lot of time the way that you fight around here at Jerez. Nothing to separate the race leaders either at this point. And seeing all of this, that's a well-measured and safe pit entry for Adam Briggs. But he's got a black flag. Oh no, did he cut too much?
Yeah, normally if you drop one wheel off the inside of that white line on the pit entry, it is a penalty. So we're taking plenty of liberties there on the pit lane approach. So unfortunately going to pay the price, and that's just going to end that little battle, unless of course his counterpart that he was battling with does the same thing. They could find themselves back on track before the race is out.
Backwards from the gearbox of the race leader, Jamie Stovall, who has Ewan Baker in close company. Stovall's got the championship lead to think about. Ewan Baker's had some good results in the Ozicar Formula Ford. Also dropped a couple of points, though, and that sees him third in the standings as we run at the moment. They're not far away from pit entry, working their way through the that's the second sector of the lap. But it's about lap 10, I think, is the latest they can pit. You can't do the Michael Schumacher coming into pit entry as the checkered flag is waving.
Yeah, no, that's correct. As you cross the line to complete lap 10, start at 11 is the last time you can do your compulsory pit drive-through. But I see a lot of these drivers will probably do it just prior to that. There's no real benefit, I guess. Your tyres do cool down a little bit, I guess, as you transit down pit lane at that 60 kilometres an hour. But depends on who you're battling with, where the other cars are, because the last thing you want to do is come out in some traffic and find yourself being held up by another driver.
This is Baker's perspective. Pit lane entry left. Both of them staying out. Just a subtle bit of elevation there as well as the track rises and then drops away into the braking zone for that hairpin. Here's a battle. Brady Baldwin, Adrian Duke, Ira Felberg. Warren Henry has already made his stop in this race. Now he's catching some of the traffic. Not his teammate, who's going to stay way out of the way. But these other drivers, this is the risky run when you stop early, is that you get a little bit of clear track for a moment, and then you start catching some other cars that haven't stopped yet.
So making their way around to complete another lap. Brady Baldwin leading this little train of 4 or 5 cars. We are past the halfway point of race number 1 as well. So Adrian Duke using up plenty of track to get the wide approach into turn number 1. There is an off track here and a slowdown on the left hand side, but all drivers seem to make it through without too much drama. Back on board with Ewan Baker. This is battle for first and second. Baker getting plenty of slipstream, but Stovall just covering off into the braking zone, as he has done with plenty of laps before. Ewan Baker trying to find the long way around, but in this case, unable to do so.
And the cheeky little bit of over-under. Looking around the outside here, trying to go over-under once again. Keep Jamie Stovall on the defensive. Now he gets to the inside. John Snell is back on the track, and they're going to catch him soon. But not in a hurry as they go side by side for another couple of corners here around the outside. Baker still tries to hold it all the way around the outside rather than duck underneath over-under. James Chastanoff's been caught by Jacob Wallmeyer, who was absolutely flying on the last lap. If it was a clean lap, it'd be the fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.394. Because it's like 3/10 underneath Ewan Baker's fastest lap of the race.
So Baker into the pits, so our battle for the lead is relegated down to 1. But the biggest action-packed battle on train at the moment is for second and third between Chastanoff and Wallmeyer. Wallmeyer did briefly take the position from Chastanoff towards the end of that lap, but a defensive move from Chastanoff saw him retake the position. 4 to go.
Back with Brady Baldwin, Adrian Duke, Warren Henry there. Here's Ewan Baker out of the pit lane. For all the advantages that the pit entry saves you, the pit exit is a little more challenging, but he rejoins ahead of Brady Baldwin, Adrian Duke, Warren Henry. More challenging, I mean, it costs you more time. You're taking the long way around on the pit exit, but you're taking the short way on the pit entry.
So Brady Baldwin got some clean track in front of him, so he's just got to put his head down and try and maximise the fact that he hasn't got anyone to battle in front. Don't worry about the car behind. Last thing you want to do is start driving defensive. You've still got 3.5 laps to go before the drop of the checkered flag, so plenty can happen. Very important to get that corner right as you jump onto potentially the longest straight on the circuit. But back second and third, this is Wallmeyer Chastanoff battle still heating up as the laps unfold.
Yes, indeed. Wallmeyer still in behind, but still one of the quickest drivers. Hey, there's a good look. So do you think iRacing laser scan these things? I think we got a good look at the internals of the gearbox, getting a good look at the FIA rain light, at the how the half shafts attach, and there what's got to be
it looks like iRacing scanned the outside and forgot to scan the inside. Oh
no, that's also going to be an unsafe pit entry for Wallmeyer as he gets in too hot. Super narrow, super tight pit entry. He shoots over the grass. We've got one of the Kiwi Sim Racing, Dyson Freeman, off the road. Jamie Stovall, Ben Miles also into the lane. Dyson Freeman's in now, but we're going to take a look at how Freeman ended up, how he did. Too much gravel.
Yeah, big puff of tyre smoke as things get locked up, rolling backwards across the track. Luckily, there was nobody on their way making in their transition through that last sector, so he manages to keep going with no damage. But on screen, this is Ewan Baker, Jamie Stovall. So Jamie's actually done a pretty good job to catch Baker, I think, in the last couple of laps as well. That gap was significantly larger than what it is now when Baker came out of the pits only a lap ago.
Yeah, we've just got 2 drivers yet to stop at this point, James Chastanoff and Ira Felberg. So Baker and Stovall back in the fight for what will be the net lead of the race. Baker with his nose in front at the moment officially has the fastest lap of the race at a 149.659, but we did see a 149.3 from Woolmeyer at one point. He drove straight through the lane and somehow doesn't seem to have a penalty from that pit entry. So beats me what is and isn't an unsafe pit entry around here. I think your best way is just to stay both wheels between the white lines, nose in front of the tail.
So Chestnut making his way around John Snell without too much drama. You can see the pit entry here, see how clean it is, nice and tight without exceeding and crossing that white line into pit lane. So the 60-kilometre trundle down pit lane seems to go on forever. He'll be watching his relative just to see where these other guys are coming around. So he'll be keeping his eye open for Ewan Baker, Jamie Stovall. This is Woolmeyer. Has he pitted?
Yes, he did, because he made a bit of a mess of the entry. And while it didn't net him a penalty, it did cost him a couple of seconds. That's why he's behind Brodie Shepherd now, but right back in contact with James Chastanoff. Ira Felberg warning everyone that they need to have by some point done their drive-through. He's the only one in the field who hasn't, though. Warren Henry is off there. So from an early pit stop to just a little bit of traffic to a bit of a spin and then into the grass. It's on the outside of turn 1, is it? Yeah, Rhea loses very early there.
So battle for the lead with a lap and a half to go. Stovall takes control again with a heavy braking manoeuvre to get the job done on Ewan Baker. Baker holding the fastest lap of the race and has done since about lap 2, I believe. So looking like he's got the pace there, but Jamie Stovall getting the better of him here on lap 10 of 11.
It's going to come down to that final corner, I think. That tight hairpin, who gets down the inside, who gets better drive off the corner to the checkered flag. One of the closest finishes in Formula One history was here, and just came down to who had better traction off the final corner here at Jerez. See if the same happens in Ozicar. Well, that's a little preemptive. Coming to the white flag, just testing out where the traction is in that final corner. Jamie Stovall will lead us on to the final lap of the race with Ewan Baker in hot pursuit. Brodie Shepherd looks a decent lock for third. Then there are battles elsewhere all through the field. Woolmeyer versus Chastanoff. Baldwin versus Miles. How about Warren Henry versus Ira Felberg as Ira Felberg pits? So that timing column is going to chop around quite a bit on this final lap of race 1 of 2.
So Chastanoff, this is 4th and 5th on track at the moment. This battle has been going on for predominantly probably 6 laps, and they've got 2 drivers have changed positions a number of times over the course of that period. But white flag here, this is a time where Woolmeyer's really got to try and make it sticky. He looks for the drive on the outside. Again, Baker also looking to get the move done on the outside, trying to find the long way around. If he can make it stick, he will have the inside for the sequence of the next left-hand corners, which I think there's 3 of them in a row.
They're all side by side everywhere. For the lead, for 4th, Baldwin and Miles for 6th and 7th as well. James Chastanoff looks good in 4th place, but the leaders are still side by side. Baker did get to the left-hand side of the racetrack to get to the lead. Stovall's now round the outside of him. Top and bottom pictures. Ozicar Formula Ford Racing turning it on from Circuit de Jerez in race 1 or 2. Ewan Baker's now ahead with just a couple of corners left in the final sector of the final lap. Stovall will be thinking about the inside, about the dive bomb at the final hairpin on the lap, and he's right in position 2. Got his nose underneath the gearbox of his rival. Baker will defend the inside. Stovall's going to need to over-under or go plain round the outside. There's no space to over-under. He's round the outside, but Baker looks to just be ahead, heading towards Barney, who's developed a new technique, a checkered flag waving lately. They will be side by side across the line, but Baker will have it. Brodie Shepherd will be in 3rd, and then looking at 4th and 5th, they're also side by side. And it's mighty close. James Chastanoff pipping Jacob Woolmeyer by 31 thousandths.
Yeah, and then of course Brady Ball and Ben Miles crossing the line as well by the smallest of margins by 0.016. So plenty of on-track action, lots of runs to the checkered flag, lots of guys holding their breath with their foot flat to the floor. And we still see some drivers still making their way to complete what is race number 1 of 2. We're only halfway through our night of feature races. We've got to do this all over again in a short period of time. Ben Wheeler's still out on track as well, making his way through the final sector before he gets greeted with a checkered flag as well. So I think he might be the last of the cars on the lead lap, because then that drops back to John Snell, who had incidents throughout the race.
I'd say that was a pretty interesting race for all involved.
Yeah, if you have a chat to the drivers, I don't think there'll be too many that had an easy run throughout the course of that. So there'd be little battle packs happening throughout the whole course, and of course the nature of these Formula Fords is encouraged by low downforce and low horsepower, and really is a driver's car. So we'll have a look at the race results after race 1, after 11 laps. Ewan Baker getting the job done there by 0.07 of a second. Jamie Stavold second, and Brody Shepherd are the first of our place getters in the race. That's followed by James Chastanoff, Jacob Warmeyer, Brady Baldwin, Ben Miles there again very close. Josh Horton, Warren Henry and Dyson Freeman rounding out the 10.
And the rest of them, Adrian Duke, Sean Doyle, two drivers who both had challenges with pit entry, Ira Felberg, Ben Wheeler, John Snell, Adam Briggs and Tom Freer. Those two came, Tom Freer came together in race number 1. And so a lot of the drivers will have learnt about the pit entry. Race 2 could be even closer when some of those other drivers are right back in the mix. Well, we're just a couple minutes away from race number 2, which will be the same affair, the same rules, and hand out more points as Ozicar Formula Ford's Season 4 Championship heads towards a season finale. Ozicar is supported by Sim Racing League's Locked On Lads Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. Stick with us on Simspeed TV, because in just a few minutes' time, race 2 of Ozicar from Jerez There's one last race for Ozicar Formula Ford at Circuit de Jerez before we move on to the season finale around 6. Race 1, so exciting. 3 battles decided by underneath the 10th of a second across the finish line, and the racing side by side and exciting all the way. Even the pit entry, a little bit exciting for some drivers who will give it a little more respect in race 2, no doubt. David Haynes here with Jason Fewens and Jay Kennedy. Jason, it's going to be reset, roll again for race 2.
Yeah, if race 1 was anything to go by, we are going to have plenty of action to round out tonight's proceedings, but a couple of drivers that did get caught out in race 1 with their pit entry, I'm sure will have learnt the lesson the hard way. I know Ben Wheeler only downloaded the track yesterday, and he was very late to logging into the session tonight, so I'm sure he probably didn't get as much practice as he would have liked, but he's got one race under his belt, so effectively that's his learning curve out of the way, and we should expect big things here for race number 2.
Absolutely, we should. Progressive grid, race 1 to race 2 means this is how they are going to line up. Ewan Baker from Jamie Stovald, Brody Shepherd, James Chastanoff, Jacob Wallmeyer, and Brady Baldwin. And then Ben Miles, Joshua Horton, Warren Henry, Dyson Freeman, Adrian Duke, and Sean Doyle in 12th. Then Ira Felberg, Ben Wheeler, John Snell, Adam Briggs, Tom Freer, and apparently we're not going to get Stuart Vaughan because he's got some internet issues. And then Nathan Verne is also in the session. We wait and see. We're ready to go, and we are racing in race 2. The driver's left-hand side of the grid sometimes seems to get a little bit more traction, but it's the right-hand side that's got the inside for turn number 1, and that's where Ewan Baker finds himself once again leading the field, but this time on cold tyres around Jerez, a few of them running wide. The gravel has had no shortage of friends throughout race 1. Race 2, we'll see how they go, but side by side again for the lead, as we are going to see those two go back and forth, no doubt.
Yeah, as it was in race number 1, it didn't take long for a lot of the drivers to get in single file. Obviously, the quickest way around the circuit there looks like one of the powered by coffee cars getting a little bit loose in the background, but managing to keep it on the track nonetheless. But out in the front, Ewan Baker. Whoa, plenty of action in the background as well, battling for 5th and 6th. Mike Wallmeyer, they're going to the grass, getting a bit of a tank slapper coming out of Seto Ponce corner.
Oh! Brady Baldwin, I think, absolutely fed into the Armco, unprotected Armco. Joshua Horton's got damage. A bunch of other cars have gone through there as well. Side by side for the race lead, meanwhile, as well, as the assault from Jamie Stovald versus Ewan Baker continues. It keeps James Chastanoff. Brody Shepherd's uninjured. I caught the wrong driver from that team. It was Horton, in fact. And Ben Miles is just behind here as well, as the leaders manage to drop in single file through the hairpin here. Ewan Baker kicks the tail out somewhat. Jamie Stovall gets better traction, and we're right back at it again. But there's a handful of damaged cars from that earlier incident.
Yeah, it looks like the top 4 or 5 have made a break for it. Then it's a big gap back to the SSR car of Brady Baldwin. The Ozicar.net replay here, as you can see him going 3 wide down the back straight, making it 4 wide as well. Just moving across under the braking zone there. I think that was Horton losing his nose and coming up contact with Wallmeyer. So Horton's, I think, is retired from the race as well. He's making his way into the pits as we speak. But out in front, the battle for the lead is still going strong. This might be the opportunity Stovald wants just to stick his nose down the inside. But Ewan Baker there, taking the outside run, of course, having the inside for the switchback.
5 remains, super competitive and also super aggressive. Leading the next pack is Brady Baldwin from Sean Doyle, who's made up some good spots in this race, but no one's made up more spots than Tom Freer, who is +9 from the very back of this grid. He's in the second pack in 8th place. And looking at the 6th as the leader of his little group, Dyson Freeman and Adam Briggs completing the top 10 at the moment, as this is Jamie Stovall down the inside with a good run, nose in front to this. Yeah, it's a right-hand turning hairpin, and he'll not be able to come across and close the door just yet. Wallmeyer's continued, and he's with John Snell and Ira Felberg.
And this is Josh Horton, who's made his pit stop. Actually got some damage repairs conducted at the end of lap 1, so he's back to full bill of health at the moment, but out in front. It's a two-way battle for the lead with Stovall and Ewan Baker, as we saw it in race number 1. While Chasanoff and Shepherd and Miles, they're sitting in the shadows looking for an opportunity to get involved, but at this stage they've reverted back to single file.
Here we go, half a second to cover 5 drivers, and 3 of them are going to dive for pit entry with a little more aplomb than we've seen from some. Horton's got a black flag, but none of those drivers who entered pit lane do. So Chasanoff having a quick word with Jamie Stovall, like, come on, let's get on with this here. While those other 3 are in pit lane, you and I don't need to fight. You and I can overcut them. And there's through the lane for that group of drivers. This would be why Horton had the right front suspension down. Is it how much he cut on the left, or is it how much he cut on the right? Apparently it was to the left,
And then having some more troubles again in the background as well with Horton. But a couple of SSR cars on track here at the moment as well. So 2 teammates here potentially. This is Brady Baldwin and Adam
Freer. Or is it Adam Briggs and Dyson Freeman?
It might be Tom Freer and Brady Baldwin. Yep, Adam Briggs in the background with the fastest lap of the race.
So Freer, Baldwin, Briggs now with Dyson Freeman behind. Jamie Stovall and James Chasanoff as first and second are going to try to run long in this stint, compared to Ewan Baker, Brody Shepherd, Ben Miles, who came through the pit lane very, very early. So those are the 2 split strategies to watch them converge later on in this 11-lap race 2.
So it does look like Briggs there just creating a little bit of a gap to Freeman behind, so he'll be doing his best to try and latch onto these teammates in front to create a bit of an SSR train. But these drivers showed really good pace from the moment the lights went green back in around number 1. So we know they've all got good speed on them. And it's just, a bit of a tank slapper there for the 707 of Tom Freer. And that does allow his teammate to get back into the draft. So a change of position there amongst the teammates. And might be Ira Felberg diving into pit lane.
Well, he ran long race 1. He's in a little earlier race 2. Baker ran pretty long race 1. He's in pretty early race 2. Some changes of strategy going on as Jamie Stovall picks up the fastest lap of the race. By my timing, James Chasanoff does a 150.000, flat to 3 decimal places. The overlay might pick a lap time up slightly different, but the fastest lap of the race that we saw in race 1. Oh no, overlay's got it too. 150 smooth. That's going to be my new FM radio station. Was a 149.6. So this is decent pace at this point from Jamie Stovall.
Chasanoff's rocking out smooth FM.
He might be a smooth operator at the moment, as he is not pressuring Jamie Stovall. He signaled to Jamie Stovall, you seem to be the quicker driver. I'm just along for the ride right now. We've got less traffic, less headaches, less worries than those 3 drivers who pitted together. In saying that, Ewan Baker looks to have broken clear of Brody Shepherd and Ben Miles, so maybe he can show a little bit of his pace. He has a lapped car.
Yeah, he's got traffic around him, which isn't going to help his cause, but hopefully for his benefit, he might have the pace on his side to...
Sorry, he's got John Snell, who is not lapped, just hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, correct. And the car of 86, Adam Briggs in front, so we see the SSR train dive into the pits, so Tom Freer, Adam Briggs, Brady Baldwin, all making their pit lane transit. That leaves Freeman out on track.
If you Google SSR train, you'll get Southern Short Haul Railroad, which is an Australian freight rail operator. Fun facts with David Haynes. The whole group of the Synergy Sim Racing, not Southern Short Haul, come through the pit lane there. It leaves James Chasanoff all alone to see what he can do. But Stovall, critically, will come out significantly behind Ewan Baker. That has not worked out for Stovall. He had great pace. He ran a little longer, and somehow just the trip through the pit lane for Ewan Baker, his lap times since have been a little in favour. And what was Ewan Baker's last lap? A 149.6. So maybe Baker did have just 1 or 2 more tenths of a second in hand. and a slightly better run through pit lane, Baker is net race leader right now.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest gap that he's had from the moment the lights went green in race number 1. So it is a bit of a gap back to Stovall now. It's about 1.8 seconds, as you can see it on track there. No cars in between them, importantly, so Stovall can put his head down and try and latch onto the back of Baker, while Baker's got no cars in front of him, so he can focus on just hitting his apexes, hitting his marks, and putting in some consistent lap times as well.
Yet to reach the halfway point of this race, and there's only 2 drivers who haven't made what I'm still going to call their compulsory pit stop. It's James Chastanoff and Dyson Freeman. So Ewan Baker, who has, is in third with cars behind him. Sorry, John Snell also hasn't yet. So this is Chastanoff and Freeman running along with a bit of clean track, but they are not all that far ahead of Ewan Baker. Chastanoff's in. So will Chastanoff be ahead or behind of Stovall, who he was right in contact with before Stovall pitted?
Well, I reckon the pit lane trends that we said was about 14 seconds, and I reckon Chastanoff was about 12.5 in front of Baker, so he's probably going to come out a second or so behind Baker on turn number 1. So Baker crossing under the alien spacecraft.
Brady Baldwin's in for the second time. He had a black flag. He picked that up somewhere, so this has gone quite south quite quickly for Brady Baldwin. And Chastanoff rejoins just behind Jamie Stovall, who is in hot pursuit of Ewan Baker. 1.75 seconds between Baker and Stovall. Stovall can chew just a couple of tenths of a second out of that. I think he'll start hitting the slipstream at about 1.2 seconds back.
Yeah, well, Chastanoff's already in it, so we showed that they had good pace and good working relationship in the laps prior to their pit sequence. So can't forget the fact that Brady Shepherd and Ben Miles are there in the background as well, so they got that really good jump on the opening couple of laps and still paying dividend at the moment.
So the battle's back together now that almost everyone's been through pit lane. Jamie Stovall, James Chastanoff, Brody Shepherd, Ben Miles is this group here. Ben Miles, Brody Shepherd, they've done well to get themselves hooked to what could be a battle for the podium, and come the final lap, you just never know how it could play out so long as you're part of the group and you're in with a shot. Might be slimmer odds of being drawn in that Powerball, but you've got skin in the game. Ben Wheeler, Ira Felberg, John Snell here together now that John Snell has been through pit lane.
So that just does leave Dyson Freeman out on circuit at the moment. He is 4 seconds ahead of our effective race leader, who does hold the fastest lap of the race. So when Dyson Freeman does make his pit sequence, he should drop back down to about 9th or 10th place on track. But,
this is what I love here. This is Ozicar Formula Ford, because while we've got some really, really talented drivers up front, you're seeing John Snell and Ira Felberg have a great little bit of a back and forth battle here. And everyone gets to enjoy the racing. Everyone gets to find someone through the field that they're going to be able to go back and forth and hopefully have some respectful racing with.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Aussie car. There's plenty of skill levels out there, so no matter where you sit in the scheme of things, you'll find someone to race with, and the racing that's generated and promoted here within the league is potentially some of the best that is available out there, particularly amongst the Australian sim racing community. So if you are enjoying what you're seeing on screen at the moment and you want to get involved, jump across to the Aussie Car Discord channel. I'm sure there'll be links and instructions there on how to become part of the action. There's next season, we'll be resting up these little Formula Fords and we'll be moving on to something else. But at the moment, all our focus here is on these little 1600cc open-wheeled rockets as they make their way around through the back part of the circuit here on lap number 7 of 11, race number 2.
AussieCar.net is also the place to go with all the info, all of the links to join the community, think about racing, and do not doubt the level of talent that we've got at the top of the field here, though, in this championship, because I've seen James Chastanoff and Ewan Baker's name appear in the top split of some other championships in some other cars where they've had to qualify in against really, really large numbers, They are across all kinds of machinery, drivers who are right at the top of Australian sim racing. 4 laps to go. Dyson Freeman yet to pit. Ewan Baker, I think, if anything, extending his lead over Jamie Stovold at the moment. Things are a little hot back there for what will be second, third, fourth, and fifth. Sean Doyle and Tom Freer battling as well. Benjamin Wheeler, Ira Felberg, John Snell, still a bit of a battle going on throughout the field. So I think we're going to have a similar situation at the end of race 2 here, where we go, oh, that battle was decided by a tenth, that battle was decided by a tenth, that battle was decided by the third decimal place.
Yeah, a couple of hundredths even. So definitely Chastanoff and Brady Shepherd there closing in on Stovold. So Stovold going defensive, which is only going to slow this little group down and potentially bring Ben Miles back into it. Chastanoff looking for the long way around, but not able to get the job done there. Brady Shepherd looking for an opportunity. That is Chastanoff down the inside. He does have some overlap, but looks like he's going for the big dive on the inside, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the circuit for the next sequence of right-hand turns. Again, 3 of them in a row.
If Ewan Baker can see this in his mirrors, he is going to be absolutely thrilled, because look at this side-by-side. Stovold continuing to defend, Chastanoff continuing to show his nose in some pretty optimistic little places, and it's exciting for these guys, but it's very exciting for Ewan Baker as he continues to extend his lead over the race that he'll get when Dyson Freeman pits. Almost a little bit of contact there, and look how far down the inside Chastanoff is defending. He runs in a little bit hot. Stovold almost gets underneath him, and Shepherd and Miles don't seem to quite know what to make of this. Tom Freer and Sean Doyle could get them. Tom Freer is still the most positions gained in this race, and he'll get one more when Dyson Freeman pits for 11 positions gained. Tom Freer, he's pretty quick on his good laps, and he could catch this.
Yeah, he's only 4 seconds off this little battle pack with 3 laps to go, and if they keep this up where they're battling side by side, and they are continuing to do that, it is only going to play into the hands of Tom Free and Sean Doyle. They're battling back in 7th and 8th, so what is a 4-way battle on track at the moment could easily become 6th for the minor spots on the podium.
This would be absolutely thrilling racing if it was for the lead of the race. It's not. Ewan Baker now leads them by more than 4 seconds. Remember when it was 1.75 and we were saying, can Stovold get 3/4 tenths, get into the slipstream, close it up? Well, that seems to have sailed as they remain side by side. Chastanoff must have a massive grin on his face here, but potentially also some white on his knuckles.
Well, there is a white knuckle racing amongst the drivers out here, but Chastanoff certainly not a member of those. He's part of the
they touch
community. There's contact.
Stovold comes out a little bit wide, front tyre to rear tyre. James Chastanoff spins them both off through the gravel. Doesn't seem to be too much damage, but it puts Brody Shepherd instantly to a podium position, and now Freer is off the track and into the gravel as well. It was exciting while it lasted, but it couldn't last forever.
Yeah, so Brody Shepherd just seeing the C's part in front of him as he drove straight through the middle and taking the opportunity. This is the Ozicar.net replay. Chastanoff getting a little bit of a slide on the exit of the corner. It doesn't look like the SSR car quite expecting the contact there, and they both found themselves out in the dirt on the right-hand side of the circuit. And this is Tom Free under no pressure from anyone around him at that stage there, just having a bit of a spin and finding himself in the dirt as well.
Stovold has gone through the lane. Dyson Freeman's gone through the lane. Ewan Baker now leads by 6.29 seconds from Brody Shepherd and Ben Miles. Sean Doyle sneakily snuck his way up to 4th place here, and he's got a couple of seconds over Chastanoff, who's back going again, and Adrian Duke, who is 6th, but apparently Dyson Freeman will be through the lane once again. Indeed he will. What part of pit entry or pit exit or pit lane speed limit has Dyson Freeman been caught afoul of?
Yeah, unfortunately, after leading for a large sequence of laps, albeit through pit strategy, he's going to find himself having to make another trundle down pit lane as the laps die down here with only 2 laps remaining.
Is it that?
Quite potentially.
It's harsh if it's that. It's got to be that. You're kidding me. Wow.
That's surprising, but rules are rules, unfortunately. It's a in-game issued penalty, so you can't do anything but grit your teeth and just have to serve it. This is Chastanoff and Adrian Duke now battling for 5th and 6th on track. So Chastanoff now got a new dueling partner with a lap and a sector to go. Brody Shepherd taking the fastest lap of the race as well, though, on his pursuit for the lead of Ewan Baker.
I guess you could say that the pain in Spain falls mainly on the pit lane.
You could.
I
Cringeworthy, but
absolutely
you
would.
could.
I absolutely would. Yeah, so Freeman's back through the lane, hopefully more cautiously for a second time. Chastanoff is having fun with Adrian Duke now. And Duke's teammate, Benjamin Wheeler, is having fun with John Snell. Ewan Baker is smiling softly to himself as he starts the final lap of the race with a 7-second lead from Brody Shepherd and Ben Miles. It's Chasty a little on the defensive from Duke.
Yeah, every corner that passes, Duke running out of another opportunity, but he could have a good run here down the back straight. Chastanoff straight away diving to the right-hand side of the circuit to make his intentions loud and clear as they make their way down to the heavy braking zone underneath the Andrina Bridge into Dry Sack. It is a right-hand corner which tightens up on the exit. This is the battle for second and third, though, out on track, and it is Brady Shepherd and Ben Miles, probably the closest little battle out on the circuit as opposed to the one we were looking at.
Andalusia is the southernmost autonomous community in Peninsular Spain. That's where we are, and that's what the bridge is.
You could write a book with all the fun facts you have.
I'm very good at typing things into Google, but also apparently reading them off. Through the final corner, there is no pressure on Ewan Baker this time around like there was in race number 1. He was third in the championship, coming to Jerez, and he will clean sweep 2 wins to put himself back in the championship hunt with 1 round to go. Brody Shepherd and Ben Miles are having a photo finish with Sean Doyle as James Chastanoff and Adrian Duke appear at speed. Chastanoff gets 5th, Duke gets 6th. Warren Henry is 7th. How about Wheeler, Snell, and Felberg coming towards the final hairpin, having a look down the inside, a little optimistic is John Snell. He's not going to be able to quite get to the inside of Ben Wheeler, but you just got to put that pressure on. Wheeler, though, will get the traction off the final corner, celebrate a little early before he gets to Barney's checkered flag. And Jamie Stovall also rejoined just behind these guys and got 11th. Ewan Baker, though, he might be the new king of Spain the way that it's going. Pole in qualifying, race 1 win, pole from race 2, race 2 win, and great strategy in race 2 as well. More than just pace, he pitted early and really made it work.
Yeah, so Ewan Baker showing the rest of the field a clean set of heels, particularly there in the second race. Brady Baldwin still circulating out on track, currently in P13. So not the result he would have wanted, but he'll be able to regroup, no doubt. He's got plenty of speed on his side, and he'll be able to focus on our final and penultimate round, which will be coming up very shortly. But before we get to that, our race results here at race number 2, again, after an 11-lap sequence. Ewan Baker taking the double win in the Kiwi Sim Racing Speed Nation Formula Ford, and Brody Shepherd, Ben Miles rounding out our podium. Sean Doyle and Chastanoff making it the top 5 as well. Then it was number 60, Adrian Duke. He was hot on the heels of Chastanoff, with Warren Henry having a really good result as well. The top 10 for him. Ben Wheeler, John Snell, and Ira Felberg sneaking into the top 10. Looking over the page, it is the 987 of Jamie Stovall, what could have been Dyson Freeman, Brady Baldwin, Jacob Wallmeyer after contact early on race number 1. He was the first of the cars off the lead lap. Joining him back there was Adam Briggs, Tom Freer, and then Josh Horton. He parked it up quite early after contact in the opening lap as well.
How do I join the iRacing art team? Because those medical helicopters have an American registration on them, And then also the trucks in the paddock are American-style trucks rather than European cab-overs. I reckon I could just tidy up a little couple of things around. Ewan Baker has absolutely tidied up Jerez, but there's some other drivers with good results that we're going to have a chat to first. Like Ben Miles, who joins us now. 7th in race 1, 3rd in race 2. Good little haul, good progress through the field from 11th in qualifying to 7th to 3rd.
Yeah, hi guys. Wow. When I joined qualifying, I actually didn't even think I would do anything of value, of note, in either of those races. So I'm sort of exhausted from that.
It seems a very exciting track for these cars. You've got a lot of flowing sequences of corners, but then also just enough 1 or 2 long straights that you need to be a little tactical about when you pass, when you don't.
Oh, for sure. And that draft, as always, is quite important in these things. And so Brody and I were just playing our time there with the 2 boys that I'm not sure who took themselves out. Chastity and Stovall, yeah. So we were just playing it cool. Unfortunately, they decided to exit stage right for us. So great little haul of points for us.
Yes, indeed. And the thing that we sort of kept coming back to across both races in this format, they do seem to have applied the Spanish Inquisition to the pit entry unsafe safe situation.
It's a pretty diabolical pit entry. You saw our other teammate Joshua in the last race do a nice 360 on entry. It's tough track.
Well, you managed to work your way forward. Good results for you, and 1 round to go. What's the goal?
Mate, if I can build on this and stick with these guys at the front, that's awesome for me. I didn't expect to be anywhere near the podium today, so I'll try that again in the wet in a couple of weeks' time.
We'll see. You're doing a little rain dance, are you?
Oh, I am now. I probably won't be in the rain when I'm in a wall, so check back with me later.
With any luck on your behalf, we will see you around.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Well, a very jubilant Ben Miles there, rounding out the podium tonight in our feature race number 2. So a great result from him, up from 11th, where he qualified at the start of the night. So big effort and a great points haul for him, Dave.
Yes, indeed. Brody Shepherd joins us with the 3rd and the 2nd. Is this your interview, Jason?
Yeah, we'll just stick the microphone underneath Brody's helmet and we'll see what he's got to say. Potentially the luckiest man in Spain tonight, mate.
Yeah, they were some hectic races. A bit of luck in the second one there to dodge the little incident between Chastity and Jamie, but it was just trying to keep it clean in both those races. The same thing almost happened to me in race 1 with Jacob, where it's a bit of net code magnets dragging the cars together. So it was just kind of keeping it clean and trying to stay out of trouble tonight, which I somehow managed to do to get a 3rd and a 2nd. And still, I think I stole fastest lap from Ewan in the last race, so I'll take that as well.
Yeah, just almost a trifecta. So you're out 3 positions in race number 1 and then starting from 3rd and climbing to the 2nd step of the podium there in tonight's feature race. So you can see things unfolding in front of you prior to the Chastanoff-Stovall incident. Was there temptation there to get involved, or were you quite happy just to sit back that little half a second or so, give yourself a bit of breathing room and just see how the cards played out?
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it safe, stay a bit further back to get just to give it some space for a little bit. I didn't realise it was almost the second to last lap when that happened, and that's when I was going to start trying to pick up and get involved a bit more. But right as I went to go try and get involved, it's when it all went south. So I happened to choose the right strategy of staying safe there.
Well, it certainly worked in your favour. We'll have to implement the name of Brody Moses Shepherd from here on in. But again, finding really good speed and good pace towards the back end of the season. We're off to a shortened circuit at Brands Hatch Indy in a fortnight's time. Little circuit like that with some undulating corners. Does that suit your driving style?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll be a really fun round. It should be good fun throwing those cars around there because there's not going to be a lot of chance to overtake. It's a very short track and you probably only got 2 or 3 corners where you got to get every line right to get it all to work. And with the potential of rain also being there, it's going to throw everything in the air for the season and the championship for everything. So anything could still happen towards the end here.
All right, mate. Well, do you want to do a shout out to any of your sponsors, supporters, or of the like before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for all the commentary and the streams. They've been really good to go back and watch. And thanks to Ira and Ozicar in general. And then all of the sponsors at Vermilion and all the guys from there. Been good fun to race with them throughout the year. And we got a nice little 3-wide photo finish at the end to show off the cars and all of the sponsors and the great paint jobs from Bird. So it was good fun.
All right, mate, go and spray that virtual champagne. Enjoy your accolades and your time there on the podium tonight. You're well and truly deserved, and hopefully we can see, for your benefit, a repeat here in a fortnight's time as we come back and try and do it all over again.
Yeah, sounds good. Cheers, guys.
Brady Shepherd there, our second place getter. A couple of podiums tonight in race 1 and race 2, so a really good result for him tonight after a hectic couple of laps towards the end of the race.
And double race winner Ewan Baker joins us now. Your floor must be incredibly clean with that sweep job.
Yeah, relatively clean. My seat may be slightly more sweat stained at this point, but you know, yeah, intense racing. It was as much a race of pace and commitment as it was sort of brain power and sort of master chess plans. Because yeah, especially race 1, Jamie and I, we were both taking turns of slowing up and trying to stop each other, getting a break and get each other to lead the race. I was trying to drop back a little bit in race 1 to try and get a draft and the fastest lap for the bonus point, and I think he cottoned on and started slowing up, and it was just fantastic fun. And then yeah, race 2, I thought I'll play this a little bit different because I had a little bit of confidence my clean air pace was going to be just slightly faster than Jamie's. So I thought I'll pit in early, try and pull a blinder on him, and yeah, it was just enough. That extra lap that he stayed out was enough for me to just get over a second and break away. But yeah, man, intense stuff.
Yeah, he came into this round leader of the championship. At race 1, I think you spent more time looking sideways at him than forward or back at him.
Yeah, it's great fun. Like, Jamie's a fantastic driver, and he's one of those guys that you know that you can absolutely send it hard with him on the racetrack, and you're not going to get in an accident. You know, we're going to give each other space, and we're just going to have some fantastic racing. And you know, it's like there's a good bunch of guys in this field that you can do that with, and it really makes a difference. It makes it a hell of a lot of fun.
Closes up the championship somewhat, but I think you're still going to need to be very, very fortunate at Brands Hatch Indy. What we've seen, I guess, from this racing is you never say never about nothing.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure what happened to Jamie in that second race, but yeah, just the hazards of these cars, and you're running in a bit of a draft pack. There's 3-4 drivers all scrapping away. It just takes the slightest touch. I mean, that's what I found out these last 2 rounds. It's slight touch and you're around in the fence, broken steering, broken suspension, all sorts. So yeah, it's not going to take much to throw either one of us out, and it's not over till the checkered flag falls.
Yeah, exactly. How much practice have you had in this car around this track before tonight? Because I ran out of fingers to count unsafe pit entry penalties on.
Can't recall if I've done it in this car. I think I've done a race in Formula 4 around here, so I had a bit of pit entry practice on that. Honestly, I mean, this is going to sound like a humble brag, so I do apologize, but honestly, I've done bugger all practice at this track before this round. Normally I put in a few laps, but I've just been so snowed under with other series and suddenly running sculpts at the weekend, which I wasn't planning to do this year, but that's come up and demanded a lot of time. So yeah, I was very much just turn up on the night and see how it goes. Fortunately,
and the pub, right?
well, yeah. Of course.
It lays a very, very exciting groundwork, and we wish you the best of luck for the final round at Brands Hatch Indy.
Thank you. I think we're all going to need it. You know, a bit of British weather around Brands Indy. Sprint series, 3 races. It's going to be madness, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Pack your umbrella.
Indeed.
Ewan Baker with the pole in qualifying, took that to the win in race 1. Started from up front in race 2, won that, and he closes up the championship. Jason Fewens, as we head towards this finale.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and what a way to finish off the season. It's going to be, like I said, undulating circuits. There is lots of passing opportunities as well, but again, being the short circuit, it is really about carrying mid-corner momentum and good speed. Consistency is going to be the key, particularly if the weather plays a part like we think it will. We could find ourselves with a couple of drivers being caught out, but I'm sure nonetheless there'll be a lot of the laps being done in the meantime over the next couple of weeks while drivers come to terms with potentially some new conditions to face.
Yeah, and our little footage there is of a part of the track that we won't be using, as it's on the shortest config, and it will be very, very exciting. You'll see it all here on Simspeed TV. Do make sure you're following, and we look forward to seeing you for all the other great sim racing we cover between now and then, but also at the season finale of Ozicar Formula Ford Season 4 at Brands Hatch Indy. Thank you to Aussie Cars partners, Sim Racing Leagues, Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. We'll see you at the final round.